Hello and welcome back to Minus 16, the tech podcast, where not only do we talk the business of tech, but also the business of YouTube as well. Now, having just made all the headlines a couple of weeks ago that we were three wheels on the wagon, you'll notice if you're subtle and smart and quick, there's only two of us. The summer holidays of Bit and Daniel is with me, and Alex is somewhere in Portugal, is he?
I think he said Portugal.
There we go. I last saw him poolside on a picture on Twitter. That's kind of my last recollection of seeing anything to do with Alex. How are you keeping, my friend? I mean, that's actually a bad question because you're not doing so well.
Yeah, I've had to plow on through. My voice has kind of gone and come back and then gone and come back again. And you can hear it now. It's still a little bit raspy. But for the most part, I'm feeling a bit better. But the sickness kind of went through our whole family. When you got kids and two parents are sick, it's average. If anyone's watched my last videos, you'll hear the croakiness sort of develop as you said to me earlier off air.
I watched it. It just goes, I mean, actually sort of getting into the business, it goes to show this idea of regular, I think we touched on it before, of regular upload schedules, because I really look forward on a Sunday lunchtime UK to your video coming out, and it's regular as clockwork. I know kind of around 1-2 o'clock my time, there's going to be, and it just goes to prove that regularity actually is, I don't know if it's just me, but when there's people I like and people I invest in, I kind of like to know when their videos are coming out.
There will 100% probably be some of my subscribers that will be sitting there with the bell icon at that time waiting for the video. And that's not being facetious or what's the word, like arrogant. That's just me being aware of how it works. And that's why the regular uploading schedule can actually help.
So that's obviously something you definitely tapped into, is it?
Yeah, I think so. I think I want it to be consistent, not just for the audience, but probably more for myself, because I want to have myself accountable to know that I will have a video at this time, at this point of the week, every week, regardless. So it's
your production mind. You know it's coming. You've got to get it done. Yeah.
And I think that helps even when I'm sick to just know I have to do something.
Because you did randomly put one up yesterday, didn't you, as we recorded this? So midweek one.
I had an idea for a video yesterday morning. Went home. I wrote it while I was out with the kids. Wrote it, went home, recorded it, edited it, uploaded it last night. So sometimes when you have the idea, you just have the idea.
You got to go with it. In fact, we sort of stumbled into talking YouTube first. Hey, it's our podcast. Why don't we go YouTube first this time around?
Yeah, sure. Let's flip it.
While the cat's away. So now it's interesting to talk about schedules. The past, since I've had a little bit of growth going on in my channel, I've been doing, same as you, it's been Thursdays. You know, when you go into YouTube metrics and analytics, it shows you that deep purple color when most of your viewers are online. I've been going by that, and it's always Thursdays. I've got this massive chunk of time from like 3 in the afternoon to 10 in the evening. It's all deep purple. So I thought, okay, hit that curve, and it's been working this week. And you'll understand the point, sort of the pain point of this. The sponsor of this week's video had specified a day, and I think it was to do with Amazon Prime, and it had to go up on Wednesday. So I had no other option. So, you know, you have to sing to the Piper's song to some degree, don't you?
Yeah, I've experienced that with certain brands has to be done on or before this date. And you have to hit it. Like it's part of the contract that you sign with them.
Exactly that, yeah.
I just actually another YouTuber who's in the same predicament as you. He went to upload his video for today, realized in the contract it said August. So he's had to schedule and wait a whole month to send it live because of the contract that he signed with the sponsor.
So he's probably going to miss a week's video this week because he's obviously gearing everything. So this particular product, well, we know it's a chair. And
you're sitting on it now.
I am sitting on it. I mean, I might as well say it's Flexi Spot. They were great. And the biggest problem I had was in the UK, the courier, for whatever reason, could not find my building. We had a week of it just being somewhere, finally turned up. But I had what you just mentioned then. I did have a slight little dose of the shits. We'd agreed this date of when it was going to come out. And then after the chair run turned up, I then get this email through saying, okay for the 10th. And I said, it only arrived on the 9th. No. I can't. And she said, no, that's fine. So my mistake. And it's like, oh, geez. Because obviously this is the first time I've been dealing with this. Schedules and sending for approval as well. So what I did was I recorded their section a week ahead.
And then sent it off. Yeah.
Because then I knew that I could just record my bit at peace, calmly. That was sitting there ready to bring in, done.
See, some brands don't want just they want to see where it's going to sit in the larger video. And that tripped me up with this previous sponsor that I had this year, where I literally filmed the guest of the spot that they asked for, send it to them, and they go, oh, no, we need the whole video. And I had planned to edit that over the weekend and then I decided that I had to bring it forward and edit it earlier.
That's a pain.
Yeah, that was a bit of a pain. But at least you got the chair sent to you, and you live in a country where it can be sent.
And the nicest thing was this morning, because one of my first to-dos was going to be send them the link. And I thought, I'm not going to send them the link immediately. Let's wait and see if it gets a few views overnight. Yeah. So I was going to get up this morning and then send them it. But overnight, she'd watched it, sent me this lovely email. So we really appreciate the effort you've gone to. It's a lovely integration, blah, blah, and paid. I haven't even invoiced them, and they've paid. So, happy days. And they're a really happy brand. And they've already said, would you be up for work? And again, which just goes to show something we were talking about, I think with Alex a couple of episodes back. Sometimes it's just worth putting in that extra yard, even though, maybe the hard and fast figures don't warrant it. That making those deals with brands and getting a good relationship, that's priceless.
They'll come back knocking again. And they have, by the looks of it, they have.
Yeah, they've already said, can we work together in the future? That's them coming to me. And I said, yeah, absolutely. It'd be fantastic too. So, yeah, this is all very new to me, I've got a couple more lined up.
As your subscriber counts grows, that'll keep going. You'll keep getting things lined up. And where you're based through the UK, that allows probably for a broader spectrum of sponsors.
It's interesting. We've had this discussion a couple of times. We were just talking before we started recording about you getting kit from certain sponsors and being why is Australia almost treated like this Outback? It's a massive, I suppose because it's such a big country with so few people in it. Is that the reason? Or
I think, they know my demographics are predominantly US. So realistically, there's no reason why they can't send it. A lot of them say if they don't have the shipping network to send it out. And I call bullshit on some of that because I've seen sponsors that have turned me down saying they can't ship to Australia, sponsor Australian YouTubers with the product they said they can't send to me. So I guess there might be some other stuff at play than they're just using that as a front to not do it.
Yeah.
But I've had other sponsors too, like charging companies, cable companies. They say to me, oh, look, we'd love to, but we don't ship to Australia right now, so there's no point. I'm like, well, there is a point. I have an audience outside of Australia as well.
Of course, yeah.
It can be a bit frustrating, like to the point where my wife and I have talked about, do we have to move just so I can get sponsors?
Sorry, kids, you've got to leave your friends.
Yeah.
We're moving so I can get a desk sent to me.
Yeah. If it was a desk company.
If it was a desk company.
I was still trying to get them on board.
Randomly.
Still trying to get them on board. It's a bit iffy. But yeah, I think it's because as we experienced this week, like the sponsorship stuff when you're building is becoming pretty important with AdSense. Like there was an issue with AdSense this week that
oh man, you were the first to spot it.
Yeah,
you were the first to spot it.
I feel like I was because I asked them and I DM'd them on Twitter. And they said, oh, we're looking into this for you. Reset the app and turn your phone off. I'm like, that's not going to do anything. And then 2 days went past and nothing was fixed. So I raised it again. And then all of a sudden it's in the app saying that there's errors and discrepancies.
That's right. And then I saw some other quite large creators put a tweet up about it. So I just joined in a thread and said, at YouTube, it needs sorting. Because on that, I said, look, I know for a fact it's on iOS and on Android. It's not an app. It's not a device thing. It is an app thing. And it was for days. It was just, and the weird thing, I think did you have views showing but no AdSense? Because I just had one view, even though in my metric it showed 7,000, I had one view.
I had the views because the revenue tab is like a day behind the actual view count. So if you got a views on a certain day, it'll calculate that, but then there won't be live views. But the view count was there. It was just showing $0.
See, mine wasn't showing a view count even a day after.
Yeah,
for about 3 days running, I had a one view showing.
I had 3 videos that I uploaded. It was the day after Galaxy Unpacked. So I launched I launched my 3 videos of the hands-on, and then I was like, all right, money. And then the day after I went to check and it said 0. And I went, that's odd. Why is it showing that? And I just after I reported it,
we've got this group chat going on as soon as you did it, because our views last week were fairly similar. I thought, okay, go look, and there's nothing showing. Yeah. There is nothing. And then I began going back, how many videos did I, because my rev this month is down by about a third on AdSense, which I'm guessing I haven't had any sort of major sort of 25, 30,000 views. I don't know, but it's just down. It is what it is kind of thing, which was, well, 2 things. First of all, when I first started out on YouTube, people always said to me, look, view AdSense as the cherry on the cake. If you get a decent AdSense month, nice. Yeah. But I know you've said to me, actually, it's quite an important part of your business.
Yeah, I do okay. And like, I'm not going to reveal numbers.
No.
Maybe to you afterwards, I'll let you know. But like, The numbers are good. They're sustainable. Like, obviously, I still need to supplement from other areas, but
so it's not just pocket change then.
No, not at all.
Right.
Like, I can see this working, and I think a lot of it's to do with the fact I got a lot of evergreen stuff. I got videos that just tick over, and they're doing really good CPM, RPM, and they're long. Like, the longer videos as well, they show multiple ads, so it kind of can trickle a good amount to it. So I kind of rely on it. So when I make a midweek video, it's usually just boost that sort of number up a little bit, little top up, right?
Well, that's the other thing. I've noticed my RPM is down again. That's way down this month as well, which is odd because I know that with Apple products, and probably same with Samsung as well, they're premium products.
Yeah.
So you kind of, your CPM should be better. But I don't know. We've been in this similar sort of time. And
18 months for me now.
Okay, so I'm longer in than you, but you're more successful, you're better at it. But do you notice there's a cyclical kind of wave? That summer's thing, because I was saying to you just before we started recording, a lot, I'm sure it's the same with you, there's probably regular guys you go and watch of a night just by yourself. And I've noticed their views. I'm talking some of the big guys as well. Their views are just down this last week, 10 days, and people aren't posting as much, which probably, they're away with families, they maybe haven't got content. So do you notice that the view count, no matter how good your content is, and also RPM and AdSense, do you notice there's a cyclical wave at all?
I think, yeah, last year I noticed the cycle for AdSense boosted around November when it was Black Friday about to pop up. And it seemed like the advertising companies were just pumping money into YouTube and tech YouTube in particular, because I noticed a huge spike in November. But it never really died for me. It's only kind of now started to sort of taper down a little bit. So you're right. It's probably to do with the seasonal nature of it being summer in pretty much everywhere in the world that YouTube advertisers tend to care about, that is sort of impacting the ads that are being shown and the views that people are having. I probably haven't noticed it. It's hard to say because my evergreen content still does really well. So I sit there and I'm like, well, why is that continuing to pick up views more than what new videos are in a way? So like maybe the seasonal stuff might still be impactful for new videos, but old videos, people tend to just still want to see them. I'm not sure.
Something that comes to mind, that video you put up a couple of weeks ago about the way to frame a photo and the way to get both your grid is and the other. So, for instance, if you're away with your family and you've got your camera and you want to take better photos, that's a smart move, right?
I've
just thought of that. I need a filler for last week.
I have actually
use an iPhone.
I have actually noticed the spike in that video. Yeah, that video in particular.
Over the last couple of weeks?
Over the last probably even week, through a few days. That in the browse features and in the YouTube search, that video has kind of spiked a little bit compared to what it was. Now, it's got a little bit a tail up about it.
It just resonated as you said that. And I'm sitting here thinking, right, I've made iPad videos about the last 10 months now. I think I need to move on. I think I've bled that particular device.
Why? I don't think you need to. Your iPad videos do really well and you find new ways to talk about it every time.
There is a niche there. I kind of said on one of the videos, I said, like, if you hate iPads, you're always going to hate iPads. But equally, if you hate iPads, you're going to watch videos about people who love iPads because you want to hate some more.
Yeah, true. That's right.
It's a win-win. I don't know. This week's video hasn't done very well, but it's only just gone up overnight and Thursday's Friday. But I was thinking I need some content. And then I suddenly thought, could I basically copy and paste your Samsung video? How to use the camera,
I don't see why you couldn't. Like, as long as you, I think the thumbnail is obviously the most important one, but you've got your thumbnail style now, right?
Yeah.
And you could make this with the full intention of knowing that at first it's not going to start well, and then eventually, as it sort of pops up in Google searches and YouTube searches, people will come around to it. It's just a long game type video.
I just had an idea crack. Shall I share my content idea for next week? It's between you cracked this with me. This is actually just storyboarding with you live. So you reckon I should still pimp out the iPad. Why don't I do, if you're taking the iPad on holiday, the multicam feature, make yourself a movie while you're away and edit it.
Yeah, how to use the iPad to make holiday movies or something like that.
Hey, we're done.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. We'll see you all in a couple of weeks when Alex is back. That's our show. We've solved David's content crisis for this week.
Thank you. Yes, it's just been cathartic. It's basically been counselling for me this week. That's all it's been. We should do a Tab S9 and an iPad video together sometime. I just thought of that.
Yeah, there's likely going to be another tablet coming out soon.
Oh, is
which
there?
hopefully should rival the iPad Pro in a more meaningful way. Not that the Tab S9 Ultra doesn't. I just think that the next iteration will likely have a more powerful chip to sort of take on the M4. But the software-wise, it's there already. So that could be something if we want to do. Maybe it could just be we both try and do our creative workflows on the tablet and see who finishes first or something. Maybe we do. Maybe it's like a tablet race. We'll work on it. We'll work on it.
Yeah, because there's obviously definitely similarities there.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, one of the most common, if you're wondering, by the way, we are getting onto tech as well, because obviously Daniel has been hands-on in person to Samsung with Unpacked. So again, we're getting through all of that. We've got lots to talk about. And I've had a Vision Pro demo. So we've got lots of tech. It's just, as you can tell, we never script this at all. We've just come in, started talking. It just happened that we started talking YouTube first. So, we're getting there. Don't worry. It's just an Ask About Face episode of Minus 16. That's
Cart
all.
before the horse, as they say.
That would be the one.
Yeah.
And now I've totally lost the thread of what we're talking about. Where were we? We were talking about content. We were talking about, the tablets coming out. Yeah, what I've noticed is people have been constantly saying to me the aspect ratio of the Tab S9 is better for movies, which 100%. I totally get that. I've only ever seen Alex's when I've been, it's a beast. And anything I've read or made content about, I've always said, look, I love big screens. So for me, the fact that your Tab S9 is even bigger, because it's a
14.6.
Right, so it's even bigger.
Let's see if this will even fit into the frame. Oh, what's that?
Don't worry, you couldn't read it.
That's my script from yesterday's video. So it is a monster.
It is big, and And I did watch a bit of content on it. It is a beautiful device because you haven't got the bar top and bottom. It just actually does fit the aspect ratio really properly.
16 by 10. So watching movies on it just actually, and TV shows, fits the style a bit more. And then when it's in split screen, like when you've got two windows open at once, especially with notes files, it's more like a two notebooks next to each other, like two A5 pieces of paper, which you can write and sort of take your notes on.
So it's kind of meaningful.
Yeah. I think they've struck a really good balance with it, and the landscape orientation with the two webcams in the middle, I think as well, kind of lends itself to being able to take video calls and whatnot. The only thing is the keyboard, as we've sort of spoken about before, the keyboard. So I hope Samsung can fix that with the next one, but we'll find out hopefully soon enough.
Although the one thing that I think Samsung got right is the pencil pouch on the back. The pain in the ass of the Apple Pencil falling off every time it's in my rucksack. Every time. Because it just sits on top as exposed. It just falls off. So
especially with the case, the keyboard case having the little slot for it that sort of covers it.
Exactly that. Definitely. Yeah, that's what I love. That's a good rub. Getting back to the YouTube app for a minute, just generally, do you find it's a little bit shit? At times.
As in the app or the studio app?
The studio app, sorry. The studio app.
Studio app. Oh,
I find it frustrating at times.
I look at it far too much. Like I am on it.
Okay. Let's be honest about this.
Every hour, half hour, I'm checking it, seeing how the live views are going. I don't know why. I don't change anything based off it. it's like I need that quick hit to know what it is. Yeah. Sometimes it's good because I've all of a sudden seen that a video has just randomly started spiking. My favorite time is checking it in the morning after I go to bed because it's actually I've had some subscriber movement overnight. Yeah. Like that's probably the best. But I need to figure out a way to stop looking at it so much because it's not necessary. Like I'm at a point now where I don't need to.
I go in spells early on, like you were saying, I was looking at it all the time. Recently, I've had somebody in on work experience with me this week, so I've not actually had the ability just to look at the phone, which has been really nice. I've got to the end of the day and realised, hey, I haven't actually looked at Studio. But in all honesty, I guess I'm looking at it, if not hourly, probably every few hours. Certainly day after video has gone up, seeing how that's performing, things like that, which is natural. So I don't know, because when you post your videos at the weekend, what time of the day is that for you that it goes up?
It's 10 p.m. at night.
Oh, right. So you just then you've got to wait till the morning. So you get your hit in the morning.
Well, I should wait till the morning. So I might watch it a few times in the normal YouTube app to sort of run it through and then check in the studio maybe an hour in and just to make sure the click-through rate's good and that it's sort of doing okay. If it's not, I'll like run over and try and do a new thumbnail. But very rarely will I do that. I'll wait till the morning and give it a bit of extra time. But the app itself... It depends on what your purpose is it for. If it's just to check your analytics quickly and sort of see how things are going, I think it does its job. But anything deeper that you need, I don't think it has enough. Like
it's hard to find.
It's hard to hard to find the stuff you sort of need.
Yes.
Like I did a thumbnail test and compare, and you can't do anything about that until you go to the desktop version. So you can't do anything in the Studio app with it. So they've not enabled that, which is strange because it's a pretty flagship feature. I would have thought the Studio app would have the capability.
When you're answering viewers' comments, do you do that in Studio or do you do that on the video?
Studio.
Right. Do you find when you go through to the filter, say response with new responses bit, and then I type away, and then it just goes grey? I can't carry on. I have to come back out, clear the app, come back in again. I can't just. So frustrating. Haven't
had the issue. The only issue I have with the Studio app is it doesn't tag the person you've replied to.
Yeah.
Whereas in the YouTube app, it does. So often I would write a response. I'm like, they're probably not even getting this because they haven't been tagged and there's no notification to alert them. And if it's a negative comment that I've responded to, I don't want to like it or love it because I don't want to like fuel that fire, you know?
Also, I didn't see that you can pin comments from the YouTube Studio.
No, you can. I think you hit you hit the three dots.
Yeah, I don't see it.
No, mate, you're right. Maybe iPhone Studio app's a bit dubbed then, obviously.
We're above that. We don't need to pin. We don't need to sell our soul.
Really? You don't scrape Apple Intelligence isn't scraping our YouTube videos, is it?
Hey, I mean, look, we're coming kind of round to, let's begin getting into the techie stuff now because when I watched your... Because also the guy that you hooked up with at Samsung Unpacked Samuel's another creator. And we're hoping to get him on the pod at some point, aren't we?
Yes, correct.
He seems like a real cool fella.
He is incredible, and he's such a good filmmaker. He's doing an iPad video about does it need iPad OS or Mac OS, and I play Steve Jobs in the video because apparently I look like Steve Jobs.
You do. You absolutely do. I was thinking that last night. I was watching that. You do. Undeniably, you do.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know it hurts, but
no, it's okay. So that'll come out. He's really good, but he's been an Apple sort of camp user for a while. Like he's been in that side of the fence for years, and he's starting to really open up and explore the other side of the fence. And he loved the Fold. He was there, and he was just like, "Wow, I can't believe that this is a phone, and I can't believe the feeling of it, the lightness of it, the weight of it, all of it." And I think it's really interesting to see other people's perspectives who've never sort of engaged with a foldable before, because a lot of people just expect that people are out there going, oh, this is trash. Samsung is so far behind the competition. And the fact of the matter is that no one really knows the broader sense of the competition. They see what Samsung is doing. And when you actually engage with what Samsung is doing, you'll realize they've actually made a pretty incredible product here with the Fold 6.
So let's first of all, in case people weren't up to speed with what went on at Unpacked, let's go through the products first that they actually showed us.
So we got the Z Fold 6 and the Z Flip 6, which obviously is upgrades of the Fold 5 and Flip 5. We got the Galaxy Watch 7 and the Galaxy Watch Ultra, which Samsung, everyone's saying they're copying Apple with the Watch Ultra, but Samsung used the Ultra name first. We'll leave that for another day. And then there was the Buds 3 and the Buds 3 Pro, which in design is basically the AirPods, but it looks as if Samsung has decided instead of, because I think there's probably a bit of with the Buds, I'll just talk about them quickly. Samsung probably went through a bit of internal turmoil about whether or not they used that design because they knew what was going to happen. People were going to say
they're going to take heat.
They've relented, they've copied Apple.
Yeah.
Of course they did. But I think Samsung basically just wanted to make the best Buds. They basically said, what design will make the Buds the best they can be? And they went, it's going to be this design. And like, is there not another way? Like, no. So then they had to go with it. And I saw them and they did really nice things with the blade. They made it sharp and angular to sort of match the Fold. And then the light
in the Pros,
looks really neat. And then the case being transparent at the top. Love it. So they've copied, or the design is similar, but I think they did it in a way because they just thought this is the best way to make Buds. Someone's hurt.
Exactly. I have a hospital about 2 miles up the road there. Whenever I hear that go past, I think no matter how bad my day is better than that person's.
That's right. I have all sorts of stuff happening on the street out front of my house sometimes. So lucky it's night time.
Yeah, I mean, with regard to the design, absolutely. I mean, the classic phrase, you can't reinvent the wheel. Sometimes something just has to be a certain shape. And certainly acoustically, in such a small device, acoustically, some things are just going to work. Some things aren't.
Same with the microphone placement, like having it closer to where
of course
your voice is going to come from makes more sense. Totally. So look, I've got a pair of them and the Watch Ultra on order, and I'm getting sent out a Fold 6, hopefully end of next week.
So how does that work with you? Because I know when we were talking on the last pod, you and Alex were both embargoed. So you both knew you were going, but couldn't talk about it. So now when you're at those events, do they give you product there and then to bring back with you? Or does it send out, some of it sent out to review?
Depends on the region. In some countries...
Oh, it's Australia again. What do you get, the battery?
In some, depends. Like with the S24 Ultra launch, Samsung sent me away with an S24 Ultra, but it was kind of like a, here you go. But this one, there wasn't that same opportunity. So I didn't go with leaving with the device, but there was a expectation that they would send it out ahead of Unpacked. Timings-wise, it didn't work out. There's lots of stuff internally at Samsung that make that not happen sometimes. But I do know there is one there for me that is coming. And then I'm going to borrow some of the other devices to sort of do some reviews and videos about as well. But there's there's one more device, the Galaxy Ring, which is the new ring.
Which is a big thing. So are you wearing it yet? You've got it?
No, Australia is not getting it until October. So
I didn't realise you were on the second wave so often.
Yeah,
I honestly didn't.
It's the market that we're in. A lot of it depends on the business performance of previous year. So if Samsung Australia does really well, then they'll be in tier 1. But if they are not as high performing, the priority will be other markets who are.
Right, yeah.
So the stock will kind of be allocated, and because of the way, like you think about it, right? If you're the person who's forecasting and deciding where all the shipments are going, you've got to look at, well, what's the performance like and where's the priority?
Regions.
Regions. Absolutely. Like in Samsung being as global as they are, you have to make decisions that are like, well, we're going to upset some people and delay Samsung Australia by a week or a couple of months, depending on the product. So that's just the way it is.
So you haven't got your hands on the Ring yet?
No.
And you haven't got your hands on the watch yet?
No, the watch I've got hands on.
You have, right.
The Watch Ultra.
And the 2 phones.
And the 2 phones and the Watch 7. So definitely got hands on all of those. The watches are interesting.
Okay, let's go watch. Because I haven't got a Watch Ultra yet. I've just got the standard Apple Watch Series 8. So Watch Ultra, I when I was in London this week, I looked at it, felt it, thought, yeah, I really want one. Stupidly expensive. Just that man lust, kind of want it. But
yeah, I completely understand, because as soon as I saw the Galaxy Watch Ultra, I was the same. And like I'm very much into round circular watches. And thankfully the Watch Ultra still maintains the circular presence. It's just encased in like a more squarish, or squircle is the word I'll use. Squircle sort of casing. And a lot of people, again, are saying, look at how much they've just copied the Apple Watch Ultra. It's inspired by Apple. But this is a little bit different. Where the Buds 3 Pro, Samsung kind of had no choice but to encompass a design that Apple are using. The Watch Ultra, they've basically sort of brought back from the dead a design they had like 5-6 years ago in the Gear Sport. Did you watch my video about the Watch Ultra like yesterday?
I haven't got to the watch bit. I just saw the phone bits at the start.
So I mentioned in that video that the Gear Sport is where the design inspiration comes from, because the Gear Sport is just that. It's a round smartwatch encased in a squircle frame. And that is pretty much where it's come from. Now, look, the bands, we could argue over that. The
fact they picked that accent colour is odd. If they knew they were going to walk into having a watch called Ultra and then they colour it up with and an action button, although yours isn't called action button, is it?
Quick button.
That launches actions.
Yes, correct. So look, there's a couple of schools of thought with this orange color. The first is that apparently the orange is like a color that represents safety.
Yeah, international color, isn't it?
International, yeah. So it's like a color that represents safety. So like, I guess you could say that Apple doesn't own that color as an accent. No. And yes, they maybe used it or like popularized the use of it in a watch, but it's there to use.
Well, I guess it's like red stoplights. We all know what red stoplight is.
Exactly. Like you can't accuse traffic lights of copying each other, because that's the universal signal for stop. And then there's the other aspect of it too, which is that the Watch Ultra that Apple have with the bands is obviously very popular. And Samsung is very into switching. Like they want Apple customers to switch across. And if you have a product that slightly resembles the other competitor's product with the bands that look the same, like they don't lose the aesthetic appeal of the brand they were coming from, they're more likely or more inclined to make that switch less painful. So I think from a business sense, and I make this point in my Sam Mobile video that's going up tonight, from a business standpoint, it makes sense to sort of have it closely resemble. The watch itself is fantastic. Like it's titanium grade 4. It's 3000 nits brightness display. Oof. It's incredibly powerful with a 3 nanometer processor. Like it's Samsung's first 3 nanometer processor product. Like their phones don't have 3 nanometer yet. I'm pretty sure. I should check that. But I'm pretty sure the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 was 4 nanometer. So that being in itself means it's going to be powerful. It's going to be long lasting. It's got all of this. It's got dual band frequency GPS. So when you're navigating and tracking in like dense areas, you'll get more accuracy with the GPS tracking. So there's a lot of stuff to like about what it's going to offer.
What's its price point?
In Australia, it's $12.99, and there's only LTE. There's no Bluetooth only. It's just cellular and Bluetooth. So then one variant.
$12 is roughly 2 to 1, isn't it? So it's about 600, 700 quid here. Roughly the same price then.
I think in the US it's cheaper than the Apple Watch Ultra, but in Australia it's probably close enough the same.
And you've had a chance to use it over this last week, have you?
No, I haven't had one.
Oh, right. Sorry, it's the Ring Watch. Sorry, Ring Watch, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so I haven't got a Fold. I haven't got anything yet. They're on their way. They're on their way. So that's fine. But I had enough time with it to know that with the experience I've got at Samsung, I know what a product is like pretty quickly into its life cycle. I don't have to spend much time to know what the benefits of it are going to be. And the Watch Ultra is just going to be a durability beast. And I like the sound of what it's going to bring.
I mean, I followed Unpacked a little bit, obviously not all the granular details. I didn't need to know that, but I kind of know. And I'm assuming that the Watch Ultra is very much pointing towards and aimed at the same kind of demographic. It's that, in theory, that extreme person that none of us really are, but it's that person they're going towards, right? Somebody can wear. What's the battery life meant to be? 2 days, 3 days?
It's got a 590 milliamp hour battery, and they're saying that with power saving mode on, which no one will use, 100 hours, which is like 4.5 days, 5 days. Yeah. But without power saving mode, you'll probably get 3, maybe 4. So probably still 3.5.
So when you're at these events then, what's it actually like? You go and sit down in an auditorium, watch the video that we're all seeing first, and then you go into a hands-on area. Would that be the way it works?
It depends on the region you're going to. Alex, in the UK, they have like a flagship store, which is like very geared towards hosting events like that. Big screens, all that sort of stuff. In Australia, they hire out a venue. So we went to a function room.
So it's a pop-up kind of thing, just there for the day. Yeah,
there for the day. They set up the products on stands. We get chatted to by the vice president or whoever's in charge of the mobile division in Australia. We have some various presentations from the L&D team, which was my old team.
I was going to say.
Yeah. So I've actually worked on the other side of the fence at those events before, so it was nice.
So do you still know some of the team that are presenting?
Yep. Yeah. It's very.
So look at you. You used to teach this stuff.
Yeah. Well, they're the team that I worked alongside. So we taught them together. I guess you could say. But we were based in different states. But it was very, very interesting being presented to by my old team, which was fun. And then you get the demonstrations. Then you get hands-on time where you can go and literally free reign, grab any product you need, pull into a corner, get your camera set up, and just record.
And then you get to ask some of the techs there about certain features if you've got queries, about lenses or that. You're right. So you can get really good inside spec on what's going on, and so that you can go back and make really good content.
Correct.
You got all the B-roll you need, all the technical information you need.
Yeah, I captured a lot because I got to go to 2 events that day. I went to the first one, which was a media briefing for like traditional journalism. So like the tech media in Australia. And then the second half of the evening was influencers, Instagram, lifestyle, chefs, photography, basically people who have a social media presence, whereas the other one was more traditional newspaper, television, that sort of level of journalist.
And talking about the phones then, where are the big changes and what would be the people have? I'll leave a link to your latest video in there, but I mean, what are the big upsells? Why would people need to or want to change, you think? What's the big issues?
With the Fold, Samsung have probably for the first time in a few years changed sort of the design. They've sort of headed down a path where just refined the same design. So instead of making the phone shape different, they just would slim off the bezels or make the hinge slimmer. Whereas this year, instead of just keeping the width the same, they've made the phone 1 millimeter wider And
a whole 1 millimeter.
Look, that might not sound like a lot, but they've done that whilst also...
Come on, if I told you Apple had made something 1 millimeter bigger, what would you be saying to me?
I think it depends on the product, right? With the fold, the 1 millimeter in the cover screen makes a big difference, because a lot of people have been saying that cover screen's too narrow.
Too narrow.
Which I didn't agree with, but I think Samsung making it that millimeter wider kind of is the best middle ground, where it's not going to be too wide for the people that liked it narrow, but it is wider for those people who wanted it to be more like a traditional phone. And because they squashed it, they made it shorter as well. Mm-hmm. The aspect ratio changes, so it feels
chunky, it feels wider and more usable.
Yeah, and it's a 6.3 inch screen versus 6.2, and it definitely has more space about it. You can notice it straight away. And then when you open it, the shape has sort of changed as well.
Now, on another podcast, and you are the go-to man here, so I'm going to get you to give us the empirical answer. The S Pen, can you use it on the outside of the fold?
No.
They said in the presentation, it looked as if somebody in the presentation was using the pen on the outside of the fold.
No, can't use it. The S Pen on the front screen, Samsung with their folds, space is at a premium. They are trying to make it lighter and thinner each generation. And I get the calls to put the digitizer for the S Pen on the cover screen, but that's just an extra layer they need to make space for. And they've already got the digitizer for the S Pen on the internal display. So adding that extra layer again, it kind of compromises what they're trying to do, which is make it sort of thinner and lighter. And this fold here is both thin and it only weighs 239 grams, which is a fraction heavier than the S24 Ultra, which is...
I just saw that was the part of the video I got to last night where you were holding up the S24 Ultra and saying, honestly, the weight savings they've made on this now are considerable.
Yeah, it feels like you're holding a normal slab smartphone, but then, of course, you get to unfold it and you've got a tablet, like an iPad mini in your pocket. Like it's definitely, whilst on paper, like the cameras are the same, and I will forever die on the hill. As last year. Yeah, and which is the year before as well. Yep. I will forever die on the hill that folds are not about the cameras. Everyone keeps saying it needs an ultra flagship camera system. I don't think it needs it. I think it's more about what you can do with the form factor, which is folding it in half and having the flex mode and being its own tripod and all of that. That is what it's about, not the hardware.
And almost a tablet as well. Yeah,
correct. And I think I made a point that no one holds tablets to the same standard. Like, you don't go, oh, look how terrible these tablet cameras are. No one, and look at the price of tablets. I think that the fold needs to kind of fit in that in-between category where it doesn't need to be held to the standard of a slab smartphone with its camera system. And I'll make that point in my reviews 1,000 times over.
But the camera system's still
flagship.
Good.
Yeah. It's the same as the same as the S24. So it's got the same sort of camera setup. And Samsung do something with the algorithm of the software to make it better, or like to make the software algorithm better for processing. So
before we get onto the Flip, I mean, obviously you having used to work for Samsung, you would have been kind of privy to some of the data, I assume. What are the sales numbers like? I keep hearing people saying that Flips and Folds still really haven't taken off. Is that just because of the price? Because they're quite expensive, aren't they?
Flip outsells Fold, definitely.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, it's a price thing.
And also, I suppose it's a younger, more fun demographic.
It has a more broader appeal, right? The barrier to entry to a foldable with the Flip is much lower because the price point's lower and there's less risk involved. It's more like a normal phone when it's open than the Fold is. So you've pretty much not got to get used to too much different.
I'm just I'm guessing what my brain is going here is right. Is that there's no direct comparison. You might consider possibly buying a Fold 6 or an S24, but you wouldn't be considering buying, say, an S24 Ultra or a Flip. They are miles apart.
Very different markets.
Yeah. So the other two have got some trip over, whereas the Flip's kind of its own thing.
Yeah, correct. And I think the Flip as well also appeals to Apple users more. Mm-hmm. They're more intrigued by the concept of that style of phone because it is fun, it's fashion focused, and that's the demographic that Samsung are bringing. The Folds always do well at the start during the pre-order period, but then they have a bit of a taper off because, again, the price point's super high, and this one's gone up. So there is definitely going to be
I've seen the price dollars, which was about 1,800. Is that right? So in that US, are you talking? Australian? Are you talking 3,000?
No, 2,700. I think it starts.
Yeah, so heading that way.
Like the original Fold was $3,000 when it launched, 2,999. Yeah, but that came with buds. That came with a pair of buds. That came with a charger. They came with a Kevlar case. Like they had all the sort of the kit decked out in there. I've still got the box somewhere, not the phone. I mean, so the thing is, I loved the original Fold. People hated it. I loved it. I loved that the screen on the front was tiny. People were like, what's that? And I go, oh, well, watch this. And then you unfold it and they lose their mind. Whereas you kind of lose that bit of like novelty when you get the fully formed smartphone on the front. But the new Flip 6, there's less visual changes to the Flip 6 versus what the Fold 6 gets. But the Flip 6 internally has changed a lot.
Right.
So it has a vapor chamber for cooling, which Flip's never had. It has a 4,000 milliamp hour battery. It's got the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, and it's got a new 50 megapixel main camera, which is desperately needed on a phone like that because of the way you can take the photos with its form factor. Like you had a Flip 5 for a little bit, the ideal sort of way of using it.
Yeah.
It needed it. So
yeah. Because that's really where it's going to be used a lot, isn't it? It's going to be used for socials, for all kind of quick kind of videos like that all the time.
Yeah.
Because that ready-made tripod you got, that was it, that was his biggest thing I could see. That flex mode and that tripod was just, and you can see yourself in frame. You're not guessing all the time. It's just fantastic.
Yeah.
Totally get that.
Having a better main camera helps with that. And look, there's no real, like the product Samsung announced, there's no real like industry changing product, and maybe the Ring. But yeah, I didn't get a chance to try it. So I can't really speak too much to it just yet. But industry changing products, you got the Vision Pro this week. It did launch in Australia, by the way.
Oh, it did?
It did launch in Australia. So I might actually have to go book a demo myself just to see, because I got the Gear VR here. So like I could see what the difference is in terms of experience.
Right. Now, I know I put up a couple of shorts about it. I'm not making long form about it because I think that wave has kind of gone. But hands up, first headset I've ever worn, so don't be tripping saying, I had a message on one of the shorts yesterday, oh, fanboy wears headset first time. It's like, yeah, I've made no secrets about that, right? Look at the age of me. Do you think I sit around doing AR, VR gaming? Do you think that's my thing? No, it's not. So, but equally, I went there having made countless videos last year with Marcus, that genius renders guy that I hooked up with. He was just amazing. And all the while we were recording, he had so much enthusiasm coming through his voice. I thought, man, wind it back. It's a headset. How good can it be? But I spoke to him a lot, made a lot of content, watched the other, watched Marquez, watched Casey, kind of thought, okay, I know what's going on. Then I put this thing on. Oh, did not know where to start. I thought I knew what I was expecting. The setup was pretty quick and everything. You just do a little bit of eye calibration. They check the light seals nice and tight, and then you're off. And then they get you beginning to look at apps, eye tracking, opening, blah, blah, blah. That impressed you to start with. Then you begin to go into photos. Then they show your first spatial photo where you just see this kid that you think she's there. It's the most. And then they just ramp it up. It's a brilliantly put, love or hate Apple, they know how to market.
They'll show their best part of it, right?
Yeah, whoever's the photographer is, a proper photographer, not the kind of shite you and I might take. They know, perfect lighting, perfect environments. We're coming to that. We are coming. Don't worry, we're coming to that. Flashing off your signal lens. We are coming to that, my friend. The standout parts of the demonstration of the demo for me were sporting events. They showed basketball and football. Oh, honestly, you see this ball coming to you, and you're almost recoiling. You think, and then you see this hand on a basketball court just coming and bringing the ball back into play, and this hand is right in front of you. It's so scary. There's parts where there's a birthday party and blowing out the candles on the cake, and you feel the smoke coming towards you, and it pulls you into this world so much that your brain is telling you can smell the smoke. And this isn't me trying to be an Apple fanboy or sell it or anything. I'm telling you honestly that I came out of there. I went there with this girl, Daisy was with me this week on work experience. And it was interesting, 2 generations. She was 17. I'm an age we don't mention. And we both came out and we both end with a 7, but I'm not going to go into the decades. But we both came out with, what have I just seen? I think the thing that got me, so many things, the environments I'd heard about, I thought, okay, great, you got a backdrop, brilliant. So much more than that. When you're in the Arctic, you feel cold. It's the way it tricks your brain into thinking you're there.
What's the field of view like? Because I've read things that it's a bit limited or narrow compared to like other headsets. Does it feel you're completely immersed?
Haven't headsets,
tried.
but he encouraged me, look around, and it was one of those things. I was trying to beat the headset. I'm sure you're competitive as hell like me, so I was like, okay, I'm going to find where can, and it's just like it is immersive. It is 360 as far as my neck could turn, and then they have this part where there's a woman who's a mountaineer and she's walking on a rope between two mountains, and she stumbles, and as you look down, you get this bout of vertigo. You look down, and they got these extreme athletes doing roof jumping. And of course, one of them almost misses his footing kind of thing. And as you do that, again, you're looking down and it takes you on these extremes. I wanted to be nonchalant. I wanted to think,
and you're going to be too cool for it.
Yeah. I mean, I was that knob that went in there, and when they were showing you how to do the gestures, I was the one to put my hands out and no, you can keep your hands still. And I thought, damn, I've seen so many videos. Yeah, you just keep your hand by your waist. You don't need it's all new because you feel you can touch it. You feel it's there. And I came out I did the first short the minute we walked out the store, and the comments that I've had, people said, I can tell you're excited. I said, yeah, that's why I wanted to capture that right then, because that moment will never come back to me. I want one, but equally two things. I haven't got a spare 3.5K kit kicking around. Little kicker. And also, as much as I want it, realistically, I don't know where I'd use it. I want it.
This is the thing that I think about it, right? That this is the same fate that this suffered. This Gear VR that's in my hand, it was...
How long ago was that released?
This was 2016.
Okay.
But I think the first version came out in 2014. But this one might have been 2017, actually. But there was a while where Samsung were just releasing Gear VR's hand over fist. But the thing that struck me with the Gear VR at its launch was, it's incredible. It's so immersive. You actually feel like you're inside some of the environments that you're in. Like there was a Google Maps app on here where you could just enter any address and stand in the middle of the street that you've entered, and you just look around and you're like, I'm on this street. And it's amazing. And for back then, the resolution was 2560 by 1440p on the phones. So it was good enough. But the problem it suffered was, well, what's the use case? For the everyday consumer, what's their purpose for putting one of these on? Apart from just a bit of light entertainment, which I did watch movies on this on the plane when I went to America. And great. But like, it's an extra thing you got to carry.
Extra thing you got to charge.
Extra thing you got to charge. You've already got things already that can cater for that, even though the experience isn't immersive. It's more common. So well, what is it?
This is the thing. I mean, one of the other standout moments was the movie experience, not just the picture quality, 2 4K screens, fantastic, but you get to choose where you sit in the movie theater. Yeah. So when you go in, you get that rake experience when you're in the cinema. Yeah. So you're looking down at the screen. That's exactly what you get. And you can even sort of see the amps almost underneath the screen that you get at a movie theater. Brilliant, fantastic, stunning. But again, the other flaw, apart from where it would fit into my everyday workflow, is it is incredibly insular. Now, okay, I probably more than you spend this is little tiny violin coming out. I spend most of my life alone. Fact. Partly choice, but fact. Yeah. And so for me, I could probably sit and work in it during the day and pull my Mac screen up and work in it if I wanted to. But why would I want to? When there's daylight, sunlight, windows, I can actually get some fresh air,
100%.
Our lifestyle is kind of unhealthy enough a lot of time as it is. We spend too long indoors letting the daylight pass us. And certainly if I was watching a movie at home, I haven't got 3.5K. I certainly haven't got 7K to buy a headset for the other half. Yeah. So how can you possibly where does it fit in? That's the thing. Yes, I walked out wanting one. Yes, I walked out thinking, I wish I hadn't bought the iPad now. For an extra $1,000, I could have bought the headset. But then at least the iPad I do use.
Yeah.
Every day.
And you can get a multi-screen setup with the iPad. You can use Sidecar.
Watch my latest video, please.
Yeah, exactly. Like I bought... See, because Samsung brought out this whole ecosystem around VR. They brought out 360 cameras. So this thing here is a Gear 360. Yeah. And this has got 2 15-megapixel cameras on each side. And the whole purpose is that it stitches them together into a 360 photos because it's like a fisheye lens. And I use this a lot. I recorded a lot of 4K footage and watched them back in the Gear VR. I was like, I'm going to do this all the time. No. It's just this, it's this extra step of doing something, strapping something to your head, having to do it that way. Like that's the barrier. And I think the Apple Vision Pro is still facing that exact same challenge that the Gear VR faced, which was that it's just this extra step to do something that you can do so much more quicker on your phone without needing an extra headset.
Yeah, I mean, even given that point this morning, I had an email I had to respond to immediately. I reached my phone, not the iPad, not the Mac, because the phone was there.
Yeah.
So as you say, it's that one step extra the whole time. And one thing I caveat, again, haven't worn a headset, didn't wear it for long, yada, yada, but I didn't find it heavy. Everybody been saying how heavy it was. I really didn't find it heavy. Now, on the demo units, they didn't have that really lovely big uni band around the back. It was just we had just basic, almost canvas straps, one around the back, one over the top. So they did have the top head strap on for sure, but I didn't find it, even in the half hour I was using it, it didn't feel painfully heavy. My face was a bit red afterwards for sure. There is some heat going on there, which is almost unavoidable.
Yeah. But the thing is, you say it's not heavy. That's for you, right? And that's you're in a very, I was going to say, you're in a situation where like,
chunky neck.
Like I've seen things, David, and I know that it can be, I know for you, it wouldn't be a problem to wear a headset like that, but there are probably people who would find it uncomfortable for lengthy periods of time.
Yeah.
So look, I think it's very un-Apple-like for them to release a product that isn't ready for mass market consumption yet. Like it's very almost Samsung-like in that this product's for Gen 1. It's not ready for everyone, but we want the world to see it, and we're going to charge people who are interested a lot of money. That reminds me very much of the original Galaxy Fold. This product isn't ready. It's still in a concept stage, but we can sell it because we know people interested in tech, but it's not ready for mass market consumption. And it feels a bit like that.
Yeah. Now, somebody that I know went to start with a startup company in the States based on the fact of, it was an AR VR company thinking, right, Apple are going to crack this nut. This is fairly recent, within this year. That company has already ceased trading because they said, look, even Apple can't make AR VR popular. I don't know what it is. We're not ready for it. There's something about, it could be exactly what you said. It's that extra thing to do, and it is very singular. It's very insular.
Yeah. I think,
even the headsets are $400. Are you suddenly going to have $1,200 to spend on a family for headsets? No, you're not.
And I think, it was like, oh, let's watch a movie together. There's a TV. Like we have TVs. Like it's right there. And everyone can see it, and you can see everyone.
Maybe that's its problem.
I think it's as much as everyone's like, oh, we're all disconnected. I think fundamentally we still want connection. And I just feel like this removes that entirely. Like we've got social media and smartphones, which have kind of created a bit of an invisible wall between everyone. But this is just like putting a hard wall saying no one's coming in.
Particularly for you, because you are a family man. You've got two young kids and a wife, and there's no way you're going to sit there. She tolerates you working all day long. I wouldn't like to feel the hell of wrath if you went back and just put on a headset. I'm watching a movie, love, crack on. Yeah, it's just not going to wash, is it? It's not going to happen.
Like even sport, like
of course,
she would rather I sit there and watch the show that we're watching together and have the sport on my tablet. So at least it would feel like we're still together watching something.
Exactly.
Versus me just completely ignoring her and isolating myself away from sport. So the concept's great, but I think there is use cases. I think they just need to reposition it to business. So pitch it in as like an office sort of B2B solution, like have it.
And that's where because where my studio is underneath me, where I went from, they're architects. So I came back, and they're Apple users through and through there. And I came back and said,
a use case.
Yeah, exactly that. But I mean, then I was thinking the first thing I did when I came out of that was going to Final Cut. Would I want to sit and edit video on a headset? It's going to feel quite clunky. My hands are down there somewhere because it's so immersive. My perceptions got lost slightly. So you had to turn the digital crown to go in and out of environments, and I found myself kind of fumbling. I knew it was there somewhere, but suddenly lost context where my head was. If that makes sense, It was. Yeah, I think I summed it up by kind of saying I want it to be the future, but I don't know if it is going to be the future. I don't know if the future's ready for it yet, kind of thing. It's hard to know. I was blown away, but the good news is I don't have £3,500, so I can't have one.
Beautiful. So the decisions made for you.
Being poor, the decision has been made for me. So if you watched Daniel's last video, last weekend, you may have noticed a slight tweak, a slight improvement, a slight development of the channel. And he trailed it a moment ago. Oh,
yes.
We've gone Sony camera.
Yeah, I've got the ZV E10, which is obviously an entry-level.
New or do you buy second-hand?
Refurbished. Actually,
from Sony or
from Sony direct. I found it on eBay, 750 Australian dollars.
Wow, that's got like 400 quid UK.
With the kit lens refurbished, and it came in the retail packaging with everything.
What was the kit lens?
The kit lens is a 16 to 50 mil. It's very small. 3.5 to 5.6 aperture. It does the job, but I realized
you've
I probably
upgraded. I can see.
Need more. Like Sam Mobile require a little bit more sort of detailed product shots. So for my A roll, I went and got a Sigma 16 millimeter f1.4 aperture.
That's quite a nice wide angle, isn't it?
Yeah, very wide. And because it's a crop sensor, it's not a full frame. It's better to have that extra bit of width out of the lens. And the f1.4 is really nice for that depth of field. Yeah. And then I've got on the way a Tamron 17 to 70 mil f2.8 sort of lens. I went with that over the Sigma 16 to 50 or whatever it is, or 18 to 50, because it's got optical stabilization in the lens, whereas the Sigma didn't. So, yeah, I'm a fully grown YouTuber now.
So that was SD card stuff and everything into the PC,
I bought Samsung SD cards, of course. I bought the micro SD with the SD card full adapter because my laptop only takes micro SD, for example, not fully full SD. So I was like, that's fine. I can work around with that. The SD card life's interesting because I would go to film on the camera and the SD card's still in the computer and there's no card. I'm like, why can't they put internal storage into cameras yet? Like, look how small internal storage has become. I get the idea because obviously you want to be able to take it off there easy, and SD cards are that purpose. But what if you just wanted to go out and shoot without the SD card for the day and then figure it out later? Anyway, that's my rant about cameras.
That's your rant.
That's my rant. I bought 2 spare batteries, which is
always
going to be helpful.
Did you have any overheating issues or anything like that? Or?
Nothing so far. It's winter here in Australia, so
yeah, but still warm when it is here, I guess.
Actually, well, to be fair, it's actually gotten quite cold.
Today, I think we're about 26.
It's 13 degrees right now at night.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, that's our nighttime temps roughly.
During the day, it's like 20, 21.
Yeah, so we're a little bit warmer than you, but this is our summertime. But yeah, I have had the Canon cut out me a couple of times. A few weeks back, there was one day that got to about 30, and I mean, it was because I'm not air conditioned in here, and it struggled. But have you noticed improvement? I mean, I think we're both of the opinion that we're not here trying to score points for one another. iPhone, Samsung, both great cameras.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, camera do what camera do, right? You buy the Sony, it's better.
I think what I noticed is there's a sharpness about it.
Yeah, there is, yeah.
There's a sharpness.
First thing I noticed, and colour. Yeah, colour was better.
The S23 Ultra kind of smoothened out my face. And
which is what phones will always do.
I think as a starting point, it's actually still sensational.
Oh, God, you built a huge channel. Yeah. Right?
The A-roll with some good lighting was actually quite impressive what it was able to do. And even framed it up next to the S23 Ultra. I was like if you weren't really paying attention, you probably wouldn't even notice the difference. But in editing, notice it straight away.
Yeah, it's the smoothing, which is any mobile phone is going to have an element of smoothing going on, and also I thought the depth of color you could immediately tell. There's just more richness to the color because it's doing its one thing. It's got one purpose in life, which is to shoot. Whereas the phones have got many purposes.
Yeah.
I tried it, as you know. I like you start off on an iPhone. And I know Apple are shooting all their events at the moment on the 15 Pro Max as a great marketing exercise. But again, when you've got the genius of Hollywood using that phone, it's different to me using that phone.
I think what I like about the camera is the extra control you can sort of create. Like you can change the aperture if you need to. You can change the shutter speed if you need to. And now look, there's absolutely can change shutter speed on the phone in Pro Video mode, but it's still a little bit limiting because you're limited by the hardware. And your B-roll product shot's about to go through the roof. Once you've got that 50 mil lens, I shoot virtually everything on the 50 mil, and it is just, you get such beautiful. I've got a 51.4, and it's just, you get such lovely, sharp, I'm absolutely. I'm excited for that part because I haven't done that yet because I haven't got new products to shoot because they're on their way, and two, the lens isn't here. So I'm very excited to see. And also, I think my thumbnails will probably get better.
They will,
because I'll be able to,
and you'll want to
choreograph.
You'll feel more creative.
A lot better. Yeah. Exactly, because I've got more options now. My arsenal's been sort of expanded. So I'm excited. I'm
excited for you.
If I'll see how long I can go with this one. I probably would like to one day. I think my ultimate camera is probably the ZV E10, which is a full frame camera, and it's like the next one up in this range. But I don't know. I think I'll see how far I can push this. As long as I got good lenses, I feel like this will probably still do
the glasses. Yeah. I mean, this Canon, which I bought off of, this is Alex's first camera that he bought for the channel.
Wow.
And I bought this off of him secondhand. And it was immediately, it was a ramp completely. And in every aspect, not just, as you say, thumbnails, B-roll shots. I mean, it's the same. I'm using the 24mm now, 2.8, and I'm hooked. It's got me hooked. The first video I went back to watch last night was McKinnon reviewing the new Canon R5, and it's like, okay, it's only $4,500. After I bought the Vision Pro, I'm also going to get an R5. I mean, where this money's coming from, between me and the accountant, I'm not sure. But, but once you get into this camera world, you realise that, it's just better. Full stop, it is better.
I've already started looking at different accessories, like camera dollies, like whether I want a motorized one or a non-motorized one. The backpack situation, I now need a proper backpack. Because
to totally fit in with you.
I bought a camera bag, but I'm already regretting it because it's like just a carry bag. Whereas I think I want, I looked at Peak Design, but it's very overpriced.
I've got one very similar to that. So you do.
What have you got? Is it Peak Design?
It's not. Again, it's a Peak Design Rippy. It's one of those. It's very similar to that, but it's a proper padded, solid back.
Is it cheaper than Peak Design?
Yeah.
I'll take it. I'll take a look at it.
I haven't got money, but I've got a slider as well. So most of my videos now, I love the slider shots. And once you've got the camera on there and you've got the 50mm on, it's just the aspect it gives. It just brings it just. Part of why the sponsors week, I think, thought we've got a bargain here, is because it just looked professional. I put a lot, and you've got all the kit, and now you've got that camera. I've got tripods tripping over myself. I've got 3 lights pointing at me at the moment. I've got the main key light here, I've got a fill light here, I've got a hair light behind me. It just goes on and on. Honestly, you'll be getting yourself a studio space next. I can see it coming.
Yeah, well, my wife and I have been talking about it at the moment.
It's next step, isn't it?
The only thing holding back is cost, because obviously renting a space you've got to find, and there's not a lot of spaces that are nearby, because working from home was my ultimate goal in life. I wanted to be here with my kids, but of course, then the thought of taking work outside of here is making me think, well, then why am I doing this? So don't know. But again, I'm in my corner of my bedroom, so something's got to give.
I will tell you the biggest carry away from that is walk in, sit down, work. You're not constantly sitting up, stripping down. I can walk in, everything is there. I left it. I can sit. I was ready for this podcast probably within 5 or 6 minutes.
Well, see, this is the thing, right? I've got my corner of my bedroom set up like that.
Yeah.
Where I've left my standing desk here. I've got the corner, but it's in our bedroom, and it's very obtrusive.
At some point, you're not going to want to wake up and look at it.
My wife's there.
I need to speak to Peter, don't I?
I'm there. She's there.
She's been messaging me. Yeah. Can you convince him?
Yeah. Because I got this nice big monitor. I got the ViewFit, like the Samsung's version of the studio display.
Yeah.
Which it's not small. And we already have a TV. And because it's a Samsung remote, Samsung TV, Samsung display, it turns it off. And I could be working and she's watching TV. And anyway, it's a whole thing. But
look, it's a thing.
Camera and the lenses, I think the lenses are what make the difference.
Well, I loved watching your video last week. I could immediately tell the contrast, the depth of color. There's an immediate sea change to it. Yeah.
So I think the next thing is, I don't know whether this can shoot in RAW or whatever that is, like the log, S-Log, whatever it is. I don't know if it can. I don't know if I'm ready for that yet anyway. I think I'm happy enough. I think I'm happy enough with what I've got. I'll start here, and then if I need to.
I think the Sony, from what I understand, the Sony color chemistry is pretty damn good. Yeah, so I imagine that probably doesn't shoot RAW. I imagine that doesn't shoot log, but the color, it looked great. And if you can go out the camera into edit, what more do you want, right? Why?
Exactly.
We all look to complicate our lives, but why bother?
Exactly right. See, I'm happy. I'm happy I made the change. And look, $750 for a refurbished Sony.
Oh, damn.
Like, that is just...
It's insane.
As soon as I saw it, I went, I can't sleep on this. I have to get it.
Yeah, that's like 400 quid. That's kind of insane. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'd bite your arm off for that one. Yeah. So, man, I think we've that was a good one.
That was a good one.
Thank you again for the new subscribers, comments, and so on. We do try to look at the channel as often as possible and get those comments answered. And if there's anything you want us to talk about in a couple of weeks' time, and we think, Alex, if you're wondering why the light's changing my face, it's because my iPad's switching off, and it's not letting me. I've got some ambient light coming. It's me with lighting. We will be back in a couple of weeks' time. As far as we know, our errant holiday maker will be back as well. I don't do holidays. I'm just a sadly Billy No Mate, so I will be here. And Daniel, I'm sure, now back from his 10-week extravaganza around Europe. So we'll be back in a couple of weeks' time with another Minus 16. If there's anything you'd like us to chat over, do let us know. Thank you so much for watching, Daniel. I'll catch you in a couple of weeks' time.
Thank you. See you, David.
Cheers, mate. See you.
Cheers. Bye.